RCN, Word of God to the world.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jerry Jones, and I am proud to be here. We're coming to you from beautiful California. I had one of my grant writing assistants and also one of my developmental officers, and one of my grant writing assistants couldn't be here today, but we do have one of the developmental officers here with us. But we're going to talk a little bit today about grants and nonprofits. We're going to be able to give you a little insight about the 501c3s. We're going to help you to be able to understand what a grant is. And today I want to introduce you to my developmental officer that's going to be on our staff and working on our team. Her name is Malia Lew.
Hello. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you for tuning in. How are you today, Jerry?
I'm doing great.
Good.
I kind of want to really bring the people forward on a lot of different programs that we're affiliated with. We're working with a lot of the nonprofits, and we're looking at the Obama administration right now releasing a lot of funding out of the $787 billion stimulus package that he had, and we're seeing a lot of the grants start to trickle down. But without the 501c3, we're noticing that a lot of people can't be helped to get some of that funding. So we want to tell you a little bit today exactly how to start your own business, how to be able to obtain funding, and also tell you a little bit about the grants. First, let's start off in terms of if you're contemplating on getting a 501c3 and starting your own business, you want to figure out what type of program you're going to want to implement, and based on battered women, social services, upscale healthcare, mentoring, tutoring, after-school enrichment program, adult education, any of these particular programs would be able to be utilized in having a 501c3 nonprofit corporation. There's a lot of cancer, stroke, diabetes program, there's nutrition and food, and several of those. So first of all, figure out what type of 501c3 that you're wanting to have in your place, whether it be daycare, working with a lot of the children in child development, that's fine. But what you want to make sure that you do is to cover the gamut of everything when you do your 501c3, so you don't have to go back in doing a certificate of amendment to change the different applications, so that once you apply for a grant, your 501c3 and your articles of incorporation match exactly what you say you're going to be doing. And then once you decide what particular field you're going to go into, you want to make sure that you have the proper documentation with the Secretary of State and indicating your articles of incorporation exactly what it is from the state that you're going to be doing. Once you put your articles together with the Secretary of State, it takes about 3 to 7 days for you to become a nonprofit corporation. Once you become a nonprofit corporation in your state, that does not give you a right for a grant. Now, what you will have is that you are incorporated in the state in which you live, but what you really need at that point is to have your articles address all the particulars that you want to do, and then you take a copy of your articles of incorporation, and you send that off along with the 1023 application to the Internal Revenue Service. And then when they get that copy indicating that you have been approved by the state, and you put that in with the 1023 application, then they're in a position to give you a determination letter stating that you're tax exempt. Tax exempt means that any donations that you received, you don't have to turn around and pay the money back. Any grants that are given you, whether it be monetary or non-monetary. Monetary is anything with money, non-monetary is anything other than money. So if you want cars, clothes, all type of gifts or commodities given to you, that's non-monetary. Anything that's monetary is with money. Now, you may need both. And then I always tell people, if you're going to get a grant, use the 60-40 rule. 60% for lessen the burden of government, 40 for administrative services. Then you won't have a problem in understanding that you're giving more out than you're bringing in terms of your 40% administrative costs will not exceed more than you're helping out in the community. And that's what IRS is always looking for. So what I'm saying to you today, your first step is to figure out what you want to do. The second step is to go to your Secretary of State and do your articles of incorporation. And once you do the articles of incorporation, it's usually about 3 to 6 pages, depending on what state it is, and the fees could vary differently from state to state. Once you decide to do that, and then you can get a copy of the articles, then you send that off with the 1023 application for the IRS. Now, this is where the complications come in. Can you do it yourself? There's some possibilities. Would I recommend it? Absolutely not, but that's your choice. But a lot of people can't afford to pay the services to have someone else do it. But what I'm saying to you is that if you do the steps and you do the 1023 application, you got to do the narrative. You got to do your 15 pages on your articles. You got 45 pages of bylaws that you got to do. You got to do the budget, which is a 3-year forecast budget. I don't know your length of education, so I don't know if you can or you may not, but that's a service that we do, and we'll be more than glad to help you in your tenure of getting your 501c3 if that's what you choose. But there are other people in your geographic area, in your location, that may be able to help you to acquire this. But without the 501c3, you cannot look to get grants or any type of funding. So all I'm saying to you is a 3-step process: your Secretary of State, your Franchise Tax Board, and the IRS. Now, those are the 3 that you're going to work with when you first start out doing your nonprofit corporation. Now, once you get those in the system and you've been granted a 501c3 application or 1023 application that the Internal Revenue has given you, and saying that based on the information you supplied and assuming that your operation is as stated, we have determined that you are a 501c3, and at that point you're able to go out and look for grants of all magnitude. Now, whether it be corporation grants, funding foundations, private individual, government, or state, any one of those 5 grants or 5 organizations are applicable to give you monies. So, we're looking at the corporations. There's 44 million corporations out there. There's 10,000 foundations out there. There's 107,000 millionaires and billionaires that are out there. And these people can be able to help you to fund your organization. They get a 10% write-off for being able to help you. So if they don't give it to you, they're going to pay it in taxes. So as long as you apply for them, then they can help you. But if you don't apply, they can't help you. They don't know about you. But you got corporations and funding. You got the corporation, funding foundation, and private philanthropy. Those are taxpayers. They go in there and they make a decision to give you some money. They get a tax write-off and they're gone. Government and state are taxpayers. Those are a little bit more sticky than the shareholders. Shareholders write these things off and they get a tax write-off by doing what they do. But taxpayers want you to dot all the I's and cross all the T's. In fact about it, I've learned over the tenure of the 15 or 20 years that I've been in this business that when you work with taxpayers, you're going to get a lot more money, but you won't be able to fudge a lot on what you say you're going to do, and you need to meet the criteria of what you're saying that you're going to do in your grant proposal. And on the corporations, funding foundations, and private individual, none of those people are in a position they're only there to help you, to be able to give you funding, and they usually just write it off on the income tax, so you don't sweat as much as you would with the corporation and the other process. So if we look at government and we look at state, then we look at taxpayers. If we look at corporation, funding foundation, private philanthropy, we're looking at shareholders. And that's imperative that you learn the difference between the 5 so that it will help you to be able to know who can give you funding and how fast that you'll be able to get these funding. Now, this is the process that's necessary for the 501c3. We haven't talked about the grant proposal. We're just talking about the 501c3. Now, once you've gotten those things secured and you've gotten your Secretary of State papers back with the articles of incorporation, then you want to make sure that the 1023 application that you had has been properly given you the paperwork from the IRS based on information you supplied, assuming your operation is as stated. Now you have that document that says that you are a 501c3. Now you're in a position to look for grants. Now, this is where Malia is going to come in, because where you have to have a good developmental officer on your staff or somebody that's acquainted with being able to go after the various entities of the corporation, funding foundation, private individual, government, and state, and being able to show you what you need to do electronically in order to send those paperwork, that grant in to them without all the mailers and phone calls and stuff like that. Right. That's fine. But what she's going to talk a little bit about is the developmental officer and how she will be able to assist you in that process. Now, one of the things that I have found before we get into grant writing, I'm gonna let her tell you a little bit about the developmental officer, then I'll talk about, we'll talk about the grants. Malia?
So in getting a 501c3, after you obtain your 501c3, as Jerry mentioned, it is key in order to obtain funding to have a good asset of a developmental officer on your team. Now, this is where I will be helping you to find the funding. And we'll go about it through SAMS.
And Dun and Bradstreet.
And Diamond Branch Street, yes. So Jerry's going to talk about that.
Well, see, once you have gotten the paperwork back from the Secretary of State, you got your paperwork back from the IRS, you got your paper back from the Franchise Tax Board, now you're able to sit down with a grant writer such as myself and being able to explain what it is that your organization wants to do. And based on the information that you give us, we can basically take at that point and look and do the research and development work that's necessary in order to give you a good grant. The need statements, the goals, the methodology, the budget justification, the narrative, the appendix, and any appropriation that we can add to the appendix in collaboration to make your organization look good. Now, do everybody get a grant? I can't say that. We have a 78% success ratio on the grants we write. Out of every 10 grants we write, we get 6 or 7 of them. And sometime we may get a little bit more, but have we got 100%? Absolutely not. And I don't know nobody that does. So we can't guarantee grants. We can guarantee your 501c3, but we cannot guarantee grants. What I suggest is not to look for a one grant application. We want you to look for many grants. If I came to you tomorrow and said, here's $350,000 of a grant, what are you gonna do next year? What are you gonna do 6 months from now? That $350,000 is gonna be gone. So what I want you to do is not to look at just the grant application of getting a one grant. Let's continue looking at many grants, because they're writing off trillions of dollars, billions of dollars every year, and you're not getting any of it. And the only reason that you're not getting it, you don't know where to get, you don't know where to look, you don't know that it's available to you. And these are the things that's mandatory for you to be able to get a good grant and to follow through. And you got to do your research and development. You got to send your electronic copies in. And then the main thing that what I'm working with Malia at this point is working on SAMS and DUNS. SAM.gov, it takes about a half a day or 4 hours, depending on their slow ability to be able to get that paperwork into SAM, but it's mandatory. And then at that point, you also have to give SAM your bank account, and you give them your bank account. So when a grant's ever approved through the state or the government, they will put that money right into your account and inform you. And also SAM does another good thing. When grants are available, they will email your application to you and tell you those particular grants that you chose when you first registered with SAM. So when those particular grants come up, they will email you and let you know that they're applicable for your particular application. Your DUNS number always follows your grant. When you put in a grant, you should always have a DUNS number so you can always expedite that grant and know exactly what stage it's in once you've turned around and sent it into the proper division, whether it be the Department of Education, Department of HUD, Department of Health and Human Services, or Department of Justice. All these people have nomenclatures of different serial numbers that they're using in order to be able to track your information. So it's imperative that you do an excellent job in terms of sending this information in. And more than anything else, nothing is coming to a sleeper but a dream. And if you want to be able to get some funding for your organization, stop talking about it and be about it. And right now, I'm going to let Malia give you a little bit of rundown about the developmental officer.
Yes, so again, like I said, developmental officers are key to find the funding. Your developmental officer needs to be knowledgeable with very good analytical skills, good research and development skills, as well as just being a persuasive person, being able to get on the phone with different organizations and asking them who's in charge of their funding and how they can help your nonprofit or your organization. Because like Jerry Jones said, the money is out there. It's on you to have the certain skills to obtain it. So definitely developmental officers are key. They go hand in hand with after you have a 501c3, and they go hand in hand with the grant. So definitely.
Another thing that I want to point out is that once you've acquired your 501c3, I mean, you definitely want to make sure that the grant meets all the criteria of what you want. And if you changed your mind about some of the things that you decided that you wanted to do and it didn't work for you, don't go out and get another 501c3. Just do a certificate of amendment to be able to change what you're doing and make that certificate of amendment add to what you're already doing, and you can still be able to do it in case you didn't. A lot of pastors and churches that I noticed, they'll have a 501c3 and they'll say it's for baptism, weddings, and funerals and what have you. And when a funder, a donor, or a donee or an otherwise person that's giving out the money, they'll say, well, wait a minute, I'm not funding churches, I'm funding the program. Now they got to go back in, change the criteria, what they're saying, and make it so that it's knowledgeable to meet what the donor is going to give, because he's the one giving you the money, and if you're not putting it there properly, he's going to skip over you and go right to somebody else. And this is what you want to make sure, that you have a diversity in your grant proposal so it meets all the criteria what a donor would be looking for, so you can be able to be funded. My name is Jerry Jones. I am President and CEO of Mega International. We've been doing this grant writing for the last 16 years, and I've had all kind of incidents working with incarceration, battered women, domestic violence, senior citizen, and we work with a lot of people with youth development. And I want to be able to take this time to make sure that we can be able to educate you so that you don't keep making a mistake. There's money out there and you're not getting it. We're going to be bringing people on this program repetitively, like Walmart, Walgreens. We were scheduled to have Shaquille O'Neal on the program, but at this point, I mean, he had some things that came up that he couldn't do. But what I'm saying to you, when we bring these people on the program that's giving out $60 million, like Walmart, Quaker Oats, and Time Warner, and a lot of these other people that are giving out monies, we want to make sure, how can we help the low income people get some of the funding? One of the things I looked at when I was scheduling some of the grants that I was working on, we saw that Walgreens has over 100 and some stores, and each store gets over $1 million a day. Now, if Walgreens is giving out $60 million a year, who are they giving the $60 million to? Is it a lot of the Red Cross, United Way, and the same people they always give it to? Well, those aren't the people that's patronizing your stores, and these are the kind of questions we want to bring to their forefront. Wait a minute, you're getting $1 million off the low-income people in the community, but they're not getting a dime off of none of the stuff that you're giving back in scholarship and education and being able to help these other people. So this is why it's imperative that you have your 501c3, because even if they say they're going to give you the money and you don't have the proper documentation, you're not going to be able to get it. So these are the kind of things I want to bring forward, and hope that this information that we're disseminating at this point on TV will be able to help your educational field of getting more money, understanding what the financial criteria is to go out and get monies, so that you can be able to know that you're not just being shut out and just getting a 501c3 like a lot of people put them in their drawers and they don't work for them. No, you're going to have to do some work as well. And I think the work is very imperative, because once you put the work into it, the results is going to come from it. And all I'm saying to you, I know that this is a paperwork. It's hard to turn around and understand all the information I've given you, but just take one step at a time and do the simplistic type of information by getting your 501c3, by getting your state papers, by getting your 1023 application done, so that you can be able to look at those funds and help those people that are less fortunate than you. And a lot of these people out here, they don't have jobs, they don't have food, they don't have clothing, they need your help. And if you got the position that you can be able to bring forward and make a change in their lives, then I think God will continue to bless you, as he certainly has blessed me. Is there anything you wanted to add to the program?
No, please do call us if you have any questions, you need help. If you're interested in us doing your 501c3 grant writing, as well as finding the funding, please be sure to call. This program has been very educational to you guys. I hope you guys take this to your advantage, especially business owners. If you own a business already, then definitely you should have a 501c3 and a nonprofit. in my opinion.
And also give me a call at area code 310-337-1169. 310-337-1169. And the name of this program, even though it's Mega International Grants Corporation, it's going to be called To Be Informed. To Be Informed. I noticed that with George Bush, in terms of releasing people from prison, he only released a couple of people from prison. Obama released 43 people from prison in the last month, and that's twice more than any president that's been out here. And one of the things I feel good about that, these people that were incarcerated has gotten a second chance at life, only because of drugs or what have you, and they were nonviolent crimes. But all I'm saying, we need to work with a lot of these people, and they wouldn't be going to jail. We would help these people not to be able to do it. I've structured a lot of stuff with Youth Build. Youth Build is one of the grants that I'm really proud of. Youth Build is a grant that you get when you turn around and you have maybe say 35, 40 students that want to be able to learn skills like drywalling, brick masonry, air conditioning units, and all this here. And Youth Build is paid for by the government, and usually it's 5,000 or 600 people in Youth Build that winds up getting grants for anywhere from 300 to 400,000. So I try to get a lot of the general contractors to work with these youth as an apprentice so that they can be able to learn a skill. A lot of other grants that we work with is allow them to get their CDL license as a truck driver so that they can pay child support. We see a lot of people going to jail for $28 a month for child support. Well, if you had your CDL license, you can make up to $80,000 a year. You don't particularly have to like driving, but you do need to have a job in order to support yourself and to support whoever you are with. But I'm saying if you don't have the skills, there's other ways from the government that you can get yourself into some funds before you wind up doing 3 strikes and you're in jail for 10 or 15 years and losing that youth that you'll never get back. So I hope a lot of you, and a lot of people ask me another question. Can you be a nonprofit if you owe Uncle Sam? Yes. Can you be a nonprofit if you just come out of jail? Yes. Can you be a nonprofit if you have had domestic violence problems? You can be a nonprofit no matter what you do.
No matter what
but the problem, what you need to do if you want to turn your life around is to get that nonprofit and make it advantageous so somebody else can enjoy the benefits of what you've learned from. I mean, everybody's subject to make a mistake, but it's what you do with your mistake will make you a better person. That's all I'm saying. I really enjoyed the time that we've had a chance to spend here today. The name of our program is called To Be Informed, and I really appreciate you, Malia, for being able to come out and being here with me on the program.
Yes.
But one of the things that I can say that a lot of information that's been disseminated here today, I hope that these people will take it to heart and that they will benefit by the information that we've given you so that we'll be able to help you in the future. And if you don't have all your funds together, still give us a call at area code 310-337-1169. 310-337-1169. My name is Jerry Jones, and I am President and CEO of Mega International. Another thing I want you to do when this program is over and you're not sure of how to get in touch with us, or you don't know if you missed the program, you go to OCNBroadcasting.com, OCNBroadcasting.com, and you go to Archives Shows, and that'll show you all the past 501c3s and grants that we've talked about. And we're going to continue bringing you other people on this show to make sure that they can bring some information to you to help you in your tenure business. But if you're not privy to anything that we've did here and you missed it, go to OCNBroadcasting.com, our guys show, and you'll be able to see. On Mondays, always, you can watch us live. We're on Mondays, watch live every Monday. And I am the president and CEO of this program called To Be Informed. And I really appreciate the staff for having us on here. Make sure you take down our telephone number, 310-337-1169. 310-337-1169. And I want to give a shout out there to Miss Tamara Shepard. She's working out of the Memphis, Tennessee on a lot of programs. We're working on cable channel, on Bounty Network, and we're going to be working with the BET and It's another program we're going to be on. I'm not sure what it is, but she's working out there in the Memphis area, and she's going to have us on NBC Live as well. So I'm saying to you, this is the start of a great opportunity for you as well, so as it is for us. And I'd like to be able to help you to finish up the tenure, what we're going to do, and keep informed. And Monica, I want to say hi out to
Monica.
you. That's my grant writing assistant, and I told her I was going to plug in a few things that I wanted to say on the program. But in the meantime, she's been working with us, and I want to thank her for all the hard and diligent work that she's done in the grant writing field to help us to make this happen. We're going to get a lot more people. We're going to get a lot more things going on that need the help that we're trying to give them, and I look forward to working with each and every one of you, and I want to thank God that's ahead of my life for being able to have me on this program.
Yes, Lord, thank you.
And my name is Jerry Jones, and this is Malia Lew, and she's going to be working with me on all the developmental officer programs that we're going to be working on, in addition to Monica, which is going to be working with me as the grant writer assistant. Thank you very much, and I look forward to talking more, and tune into our show each and every day on OCNbroadcasting.com. I'm Jerry Jones.
OCN, Word of God to the world.